She don't care what you think. Granniopteryx, granniopteryx. She knows the truth, she's linking every link.
Hello, this man, His Honour Judge Melbourne Inman KC, has single-handedly destroyed the British legal system. Now, it's not going to be a huge explosion, but bit by bit over the years, the case over which he presided, which was this one, the Lucy Connolly case, is going to reverberate, and people aren't going to forget that. Lucy Connolly made the following tweet. Mass deportation now, she wrote, set fire to all the effing hotels full of the bees for all I care. For all I care means a hypothetical situation which is extremely unlikely. It's like, say, me being annoyed with my husband and saying to a friend, well, he can go and jump in the river for all I care. Nobody would believe that I expected that to send my husband into the river, wherever the river is. This is for all I care is definitely a hypothetical situation. It's not an incitement to riot, but she trusted the system and pleaded guilty. I'll go into that in a minute. And the judge threw, well, not the book, the entire library at her. And nobody's going to forget that. So the message is, don't trust the system. Don't trust the court solicitors, don't trust the police, don't trust the judges, which means that everybody who needs to fight a case, for instance, like Ricky Jones, go for a trial. Because when you've got your own peers trying you, you are going to get a better outcome, which is what happened with Ricky Jones. In this case, she pleaded guilty and was sent to jail for a sentence which other lawyers said was excessive, because she was going to be an example. And people are now going, even in the smallest cases, they're going to be asking for jury trials rather than just pleading guilty and getting it over with. It's going to clog up the court system right royally. And that's where His Honour Judge Melbourne Inman KC his name is going to go down in infamy, as all these lawyers are struggling to deal with jury trials because of him. If Lucy Connolly had been sentenced to 1 month in jail and a slap on the wrist or whatever, she'd have sunk without trace. No one would have heard of her anymore. They're going to be talking about Lucy Connolly for the next 50 years. Lucy Connolly was jailed because she trusted the lawyers in the court that had been assigned to her. Now, Ricky Jones got better legal advice, and he knows that there's always going to be a stitch-up, being a Labour councillor, because Labour councils are notoriously corrupt. So he knows all about stitch-ups. He took a jury trial. And look, I don't know what the judge's summing up was, and the judge's summing up might have been directing the jury to find him not guilty. I don't know. I've tried to find the summing up. It's not online. But the fact is that 12 good men and true, or women or whatever, found him not guilty, probably on the grounds that what he said was in the heat of the moment, not actually incitement to riot. I'm speculating there. The point is, he didn't trust the system. He trusted his peers, who would be the jury. And that's the second thing I wanted to tell you about. This is a warning. What happened to Lucy Connolly is a warning. It's very counterproductive. That judge did a very, very silly thing, because no one will ever trust the courts, ever again, which means people will be demanding jury trials, whereas previously they would have just gone, oh, yeah, all right, I'm guilty, let's just get on with it. They won't do that anymore. And so the court system is going to be choked up with jury trials that didn't really need to happen. That is down the road. So evil just propagates evil. And I think that judge did something very evil. That's my opinion, and I'm not a lawyer. Okay, well, so I'm going to be talking about that. And I'm Granniopteryx. Please like this video, click that like button, click it now. You've heard enough of me now to know what sort of a tone this video is. And if you click like, it increases the reach of the video. That's always helpful. Please share it and please subscribe to my channel. YouTube are playing silly buggers with the channel again. With the subscriptions again. All right, so that's, like, share and subscribe. If you want to help me financially, well, I'll give you an update on my pony. As I told you, I hope you're not having anything to eat while I'm talking about this. He had a hoof abscess, and I was really worried because sometimes that means the farrier has to come and dig a hole in the horse's hoof. Remember, when a horse gets hoof abscess, there's absolutely nowhere for that abscess to go. It's inside a solid object. So it's not that easy to get at the infection. So the farrier, I mean, there could be a crack there and the infection could just come out the crack, or you have to get a farrier to make a huge hole in the horse's foot. And yeah, that means the horse is literally off the road for quite a long time until the hoof grows out. And then there's always the chance that the infection starts to go back up into the horse's leg, and then you've got to start talking about vet fees and antibiotics. Well, fortunately or unfortunately, the infection came out on its own. And yesterday I took my horsey out for a walk. I was hoping a nice walk along a hard road would help shake anything else loose that might be inside the hoof. So that saved me a bit of expense, but there's always expense with horses, right? So that was a roundabout way of saying any financial contributions will be frittered away on horses instead of paying for new equipment here or whatever. Okay, well, let's talk about Lucy Connolly and Ricky Jones. Okay, so in the aftermath of the Southport horror, Lucy Connolly, who had lost a child herself, by the way, to NHS negligence, made this tweet. "Mass deportation now," she wrote. "Set fire to all the effing hotels full of the bees for all I care." And that "for all I care" is a specific expression implying an extreme and unlikely event. So Lucy Connolly had said something that was not very nice, but it wasn't any sort of incitement. I would be somewhat less tolerant of this that Ricky Jones said. If you notice, I suppose you could make the argument that the atmosphere in this crowd was very febrile, that he was getting a lot of feedback from people in the audience. And this woman here needs to be particularly pointed out. She is wearing an Amnesty International tabard and is clapping and cheering to his violent sentiments along with all the rest of them. And that says no good about Amnesty International, I might say. But here's Ricky Jones.
Oh, disgusting Nazi bastards!
They're disgusting Nazi.
And we need to cut all their throats and get rid of them all!
And we need to cut all their throats and get rid of them. And I'd say that was really incitement myself. Again, I'm not a lawyer. But he opted for a jury. And the jury said, Well, we understand. His argument was he just got caught up in the fever of the moment, which is exactly what happened to Lucy Connolly. But His Honour Judge Melbourne was somewhat less than sympathetic.
Lucy Connolly, you pleaded guilty to the offence of distributing material with the intention of stirring up racial hatred.
Now, any sensible person, I'd say, would suggest that this isn't distributing material with the intention of inciting racial hatred. It was, as with Ricky Jones, a visceral, knee-jerk, can you be visceral and knee-jerk? Anyway, you get the idea, a reaction to an awful situation. In her case, to an awful situation. Ricky Jones's reaction was not to an awful situation. It was to people he didn't like. There's a difference. But anyway, when she got to court, she was induced, well, before she got to court, she was induced to plead guilty by the court lawyers. Now, as far as I know, her husband was told by other lawyers, on no account should she plead guilty. But she thought better. And she thought better because she's a conventional housewife, a childminder. She looked after a husband who was, well, you might say, socially conscious. He was a conservative counsellor. She obviously thought that the system was good. It was fair. It was right for people just generally. And she trusted the lawyers in the court who said, just plead guilty and it'll all be over by Christmas. And of course, it wasn't. And I don't know whether she's still in jail or not. I heard that she was going to be released on August the 1st, and yet I'm hearing that she's still in jail. I don't know where she is now. But when she was in jail, she was kept in a virtual lockdown. She wasn't given any of the privileges, and she is obviously not a violent prisoner. They were really punishing her. And it's obvious she was being used as an example. There's another case. It says here, engineer given half Lucy Connolly's sentence for near identical tweet. This one, an engineer was jailed for half as long as Lucy Connolly for posting, go on Rotherham, burn any hotels with their scruffy bees in it, on August the 4th. He admitted inciting racial hatred and was jailed for 15 months. Connolly was handed 31 months. The fact is that a lot of lawyers who had been watching that case thought that it was excessive. They have said that. I've read several items. But she did plead guilty. And when you plead guilty, you throw yourself onto the mercy of the judge. This is the judge who was in charge of the court case of Ricky Jones. And people say, OK, this judge here is a diversity and community relations judge. It doesn't matter. It wasn't her who found Ricky Jones not guilty. It was the jury. Now, it might be, you see, I tried to find her summing up, couldn't find it anywhere. It might have been the sort of summing up that said, look, it was the heat of the moment and you have to bear this in mind and be nice to this man because he means well. She could have said that sort of thing and that might have swayed the jury. But the fact is the jury made its decision and they decided that Ricky Jones's intemperate speech was made in the heat of the moment, didn't deserve a prison sentence. Lucy Connolly, look how the BBC put this. One woman's racist tweet sparked a free speech round. It wasn't a racist tweet at all, but that's the attitude of the establishment to somebody like Lucy Connolly. And so as soon as she pleaded guilty, she was throwing herself onto the mercy of people with this sort of mindset. Yeah. So, all right, to recap. Never plead guilty, even if they find you with your hands. I have to be careful of how I put this. Right, so I'm not going to put it. Just use your imagination. Plead not guilty. or whatever, because these courts now have no mercy if the government wants some sort of an exemplary result. First of all, do not plead guilty. And secondly, do not trust either the police or the courts, any sort of legal authority at all. Do not trust them, however nice they may seem, however much their advice may seem logical. Don't trust them. And that's the worst of it. It means that the trust that we have in our society has been eroded by Lucy Connolly's case. Just that one case. I mean, people used to say Tommy Robinson was being badly mistreated, but a lot of people, especially in the BBC, called him a rabble-rouser and a general all-round bad guy, and they cited all the things wrong with him, the clashes with the law, all the rest of it, and they could make a case for saying that he deserved what he was getting because he was not acting properly, that he had all sorts of... You know, you can come up with a whole list of apparent misdemeanours. I'm not saying they were real, but they're still there on the books. Lucy Connolly, completely blameless, spotless backstory. And so her particular case is now an example to us all, a completely clear example of a person who has been law-abiding and public-minded, public-spirited for years, and this has happened to her. So it's her case which is going to change the British attitude to the law and all the legal authorities permanently, all of us, even the ones like the BBC. Somewhere at the back of their minds, they're going to see that there's something really wrong with this case. It could have been a 2-month quick in, quick out. He could have done that and a telling off and then she would have sunk without trace. Nobody would have heard of her. But her case is going to be quoted for years now. It's going to destroy British law. It really is. And it's not her fault. The fault lies with this guy here. His Honour, Judge Melbourne Inman KC, single-handedly. He has destroyed the British court system, and we're going to see the results of that over the years. It's just going to leak out very slowly, but it's going to happen. Okay, till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.